What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the debut episode of Primetime Carolina. My name is Tanner Blue, along with my co-host Dave LaFave. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. So, yeah, this is one of many Carolina Panthers podcasts, but I guarantee this is going to be the best one you've heard so far. We've got two diehard fans here who are big fans and just want to, been contemplating this thing for couple months now, and we're finally getting into it. So I've been a Panthers fan pretty much my whole life. I've got tons of memorabilia over here on the side. Dave's kind of showing me off. He's got all his stuff in the background. But yeah, we've been to a bunch of games. Been a diehard fan. I know as much as about anybody. We're just going to keep it simple and talk Panthers football, see what we think, talk a little bit of NFL sports in general on the side. But I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So I'll toss it off to Dave, and yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be doing this with you. Don't mean to show you up, but I'm sitting in the man cave, so I got a little extra stuff in here right now. But yeah, man, I'm excited to get into it. Been a Panthers fan for ever. First year I started watching football was actually the 2003 run we had at the Super Bowl. So I think that's kind of what got it stuck in my mental and my soul, and made it stick with me. Made it so painful. All the highs were so high and the lows were so low.
The highs are great, but the lows just, God, they're terrible. I'm kind of like you. First season I started watching was the Super Bowl run in 2003. First game I ever went to was actually the Jacksonville Carolina game at home. I barely remember much, but I do know I was there. And that's the first game.
The Ricky Prohl game.
That's right, Ricky Prohl game.
Yeah,
I remember that. I was all the way up to the nosebleeds. My dad was so excited he almost threw me over the top of Ericsson Stadium at the time. So, yeah.
I think the first game I went to was a preseason game the next year against the Patriots. I think it was the next year. I can't exactly remember.
Yeah,
but it was back in the day for sure. Back in the Jake Delhomme, Stephen Davis days.
Oh yeah. I've probably been to about 10, 12 in that range games. Whenever I was up in Charlotte for college, I was the best. I would just take the train and go up to a game all the time.
Yeah.
Last game I went to was 2 years ago at the home opener against the LA Rams. We lost, and then last year everything COVID didn't go, and then this year I don't know if I'll be going anyway. Depends on what the seating is or how many people they're allowing in, but I don't know. But I do want to go back. But just I got into it just because my dad was a fan, and that's just growing watching him and just watching Panthers football. And you're right, there's been some good highs, but there's been some terrible lows. But I think we have it better than some franchises in some parts. But yeah,
we could have it worse, but we could have it better too. So
we could, and I think with this new ownership, and new coaching staff, I think we're going to do right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Free agency started last week. Panthers did the uncharacteristic thing and signed a lot of people. Actually, some people actually know. So let's start it off. They signed a couple offensive linemen. They signed Cam Irving. I know they signed. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Pat Elflein. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. He was played for the Jets and the Vikings. Two guys who have a lot of people didn't necessarily have the best things to say about the signing. Kind of some under the radar. Guys have been hurt a lot. Guys, that haven't performed to the level that they were drafted at. But what are your thoughts on that in general, as far as just those two guys?
Yeah, well, right off the bat, I mean, obviously you look at kind of some of the not so great things they've done in the league and a lot of things that led to those negative comments that you were talking about. And your knee-jerk reaction there is like, oh, crap, we got some more crappy linemen. But if you look at the situation purely as it is, we need linemen, period. So whether they're there for depth or they're there to be starters, we need somebody to be there. So, I'm not thrilled at the idea of them being starters, but we needed bodies in that offensive line room anyway, you know what I mean? So
for sure.
We'll see what happens, as far as the draft, and there's still more free agency to go. So it's not like these guys are set in stone as our starters anywhere along that line. But right now, it's so all over the place. We just need bodies we can start plugging in holes and see how they do and see what we can piece together. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I mean, yeah, maybe not the best names, but at the same time, I like our coaching staff a lot. I like Matt Rule. I think the guy. I mean, he took guys last year that I've never even heard of, and made them at least acceptable players. You know, players that could at least be on the field, deserve to be on the field. And I think he can do the same with these guys. I mean, you know, they're not paying them a ton of money. I mean, you just need guys on the line. So I think last year was their whole thing where they were going for a lot of you know, they're just trying to get the coaching staff involved. Now they're going hard on the offensive line. Last year was defensive line. This year more offense. So I do like them. I think that with time, you know, they could be at worst like good role players, but you can never have enough good linemen or solid linemen because things happen. Get hurt, get
Yeah.
out, whatever the reason may be. So I do like those signings. I think they'll pan out okay. If they don't, oh well, just cut bait and move on. But at the same time, you know, I think there's really wasn't a lot of high profile guys out there they could have picked. So, you know, I don't mind them picking those guys at all. I think, you know, I think it could work out.
Yeah, and you know, the good thing is they got Moten on that franchise tag, so at least he's coming
Yes.
back, and that's one solid piece you got there. So they're going to start mixing guys around. I think you know both of these guys. If you look at their backgrounds, they have a little bit of position flexibility all along the offensive line. So I don't think they're
Mm-hmm.
set on any of them playing in any specific spot. I think they want to move them around and see where they can make a group that gels together, rather
Yeah.
than having the perfect right guard come in and play right guard. I think they're trying
Mm-hmm.
to find guys who they can move around and try to find a group that meshes well together.
I agree. You know, bottom line, I mean, they didn't pay him a ton of money, but at the same time, you know, I think they can come in and be a good fit. They can compete. And then obviously, I think in the draft, they're going to go, which we'll get into later. I think they're going to go heavy offensive line as well. So, you know, the more people you can get, the more people can compete and they bring out the best in everybody. So,
Yeah, and
you
I
know,
think that's
why
the
not?
idea here more than anything else is getting guys in the building who can compete for jobs and see where they fit.
Exactly. So, you know, we'll see how that pans out. Next, I know they signed Denzel Perryman, middle linebacker, formerly from the Chargers.
Yeah.
Um, I like this a lot. I think we've got a good veteran linebacker. You know, I think the key here was they've signed a lot of guys that are injury prone, but you know we'll see what happens with that. But at the same time, you know our linebackers were. I mean, you go from Luke Kuechly to it's hard to follow up with that.
Yeah.
So there's not much you can do. So I like him. He's a solid veteran. He's not too old, about 28 years old. So
Yeah.
when he's healthy, he's a really, really good guy. And I like him a lot. I think Chargers fans are a little upset to see him leave, but I think it's a solid pickup that we got. Someone that can 100 tackles a year.
Yeah, no doubt. And that was the one red flag with him. Kind of since we signed him is everyone, and I specifically saw Chargers fans talking about this. I think their comments were something like, he's your problem now, something like that, referring to his injuries. So I know he does have that um that injury riddled past. So I know that's going to be a little bit of an issue, but you know, assuming he can stay healthy, I mean, he's a
Mm-hmm.
great player, you know, as long as he's on
Yeah,
the field. So it's just going to boil down to, can he stay healthy or not? And
correct.
you know, anything is going to feel better after Tahir Whitehead last year, because at
Yeah.
times that was pretty ugly.
It was like I was saying, it's tough to go from Luke Kuechly to whatever next. I mean, you're going from Hall of Famer to So you know, at the same time, I think that they can address linebacker and free agency too. I think that's something they're going to go after, and I think you can. I feel like this day and age, you can get really good linebackers late in drafts. I feel like it's not like a super high profile position sometimes.
Yeah.
So they can find someone in the draft as well. So I think they'll draft someone to help compete. So he's a solid bet. And then obviously next, my favorite signing, Hassan Reddick. Um, I don't have much to say except sack beast. That's what we need. Pair him up with Brian Burns, a couple other guys to get after the pass rusher or get after the quarterback. I like it a lot. So I'm on a 1-year deal. Maybe it could be a long term, but we'll see how he plays. But I think I didn't know he played for Temple with a
Yeah.
rule. I didn't know that until
Yeah.
a couple days ago. But I think he's going to be a great fit, man. He's going to put double digit sacks easy.
Yeah. I mean, when you put a guy like that on the other side of Brian Burns, I think Brian Burns is a game changer by himself. So
yeah.
he's going to eat up blocks, and we saw that a lot last year. The way he flies off that edge, you got to send extra guys that way, and then you put another great pass rusher on the other side. When you have a team who can send more than one guy at you from the edge like that, I mean, it is tough, to do anything, especially when you're talking about downfield passing.
Yeah.
So, I like you said, it's your favorite signing. I mean, I love it because it gives us an opportunity to put pressure on the quarterback, game after game, drive after drive, snap after snap,
Yeah.
just nonstop. And especially, you throw Derek Brown in the mix with that, eating up blockers in the middle. I mean, that's exactly what you want. Once you can get guys coming from all different angles, and you have multiple guys who really need to be double teamed. I mean, it's going to be tough for teams to keep up with that for sure.
It seems like the best seasons we've had is when our defensive line has been the most dominant part of our team.
Yeah, 100%.
And I feel like in our Super Bowl run in 03, you've got Jenkins, you got Peppers, you got Rucker. It's great. 2013, we made the playoffs. We had a Greg Hardy, you had Charles Johnson, you had Kuechly as a linebacker, Thomas Davis, and then, I just feel like every great team we've had, even our Super Bowl run in 2015, late Jared Allen, you've got Charles Johnson as well, and then you've got a couple other guys. I mean, the front seven's always key, and I think adding these guys in there, and then like you said, Derek Brown, who was low-key a monster last year. I feel like he got a lot of unnecessary hate from Panthers fans because he wasn't putting up like a lot of stats.
Especially
That's
early
not really
on.
his job. Yeah. At the same time, we've got Gross Matos as well. He came on hard last year.
Yep.
So
don't forget Christian Miller's coming back this year. He sat out last year. So that'll be good.
That's true. I mean, they got a lot of guys, man. I think they're going to be a very, very good defense next year.
The rumor has it that is if KK Short can't find a deal elsewhere, he may come back too.
That's what I've been hearing. I don't think he's been signed yet.
No, I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard anything.
But when you have the Buffalo Panthers and the New York Panthers, and now the Washington Football Panthers, I mean,
I know it's
gonna be tough for none of them to pick them up.
Exactly. I'm surprised he hasn't been signed by either of those teams yet.
Yeah.
And then they go and sign Morgan Fox, another defensive lineman for the Rams, which for some reason I found myself watching a lot of Rams games last year. I don't know why, but
they're on TV a lot.
Yeah. He was a solid rotational guy. I think it's another good move. I mean, you can never have too many good linemen.
Yeah, well, if you just look at his highlights, I mean, you can see he's got that quickness and he's got that flexibility, kind of like we were talking about on the offensive side of the ball. He brings the same thing on the defense. And with Phil Snow's defense, it seems to be that they love these chess piece kind of players where they can move them all over the place. They don't like guys who fit one mold and that's where they stick, and you see that with Jeremy Chin. I think Perryman kind of fits that mold too. They like guys they can move around the field a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's nice to see our team be versatile, try to be fast all over the field because that's what today's game is. There's a lot of hybrid type players and things like that. So to have guys that can play multiple positions, that's key. That's key, especially with injuries and things like that. But at the same time, I just think they're overall good signings. I mean, it's easy to say that now until we see what happens. We don't know what's going to happen. But just from face value, I like what they did. They didn't overspend for a ton of guys. So they cleared up some cap.
Yeah.
It wasn't any Matt Khalil type deals, so I'm fine.
Yeah. And, I don't know exactly where the numbers lie right now, but I saw something that said I think we still had $30 million somehow because I think that's about where we started. But, I mean, you know how cap space is. You move – things around and suddenly you have space you didn't have before. So I'm not sure exactly where it sits right now, but I think we still have a good amount of money to work with. So
yeah, I mean look at the Saints. They do it every year. Pisses me off but they do it.
Well, then when this offseason started, I think they were like 90 over or something, and I don't know where they are now.
Just figure it out. I don't know. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then they ended up signing wide receiver David Moore from the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we lost Curtis Samuel. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I think he's a good slot receiver. I think I've seen him play a couple times watching Seahawks games, and he was always a pretty solid player. I haven't looked at his stats, but I think it's a solid signing.
Yeah, he was a Super Bowl standout one year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
And then I'm not positive on that, but I think so. And then the other game that stands out to me is the Captain Munnerlyn Corn Elder game.
Yes,
In
exactly.
in 2018, I believe it was, when a game we should have won and we just couldn't cover anybody on the outside. I think he caught the game-winning touchdown actually in that game.
Yep. Seahawks.
It's interesting because we lost Curtis Samuel, and I know you talked about his ability in the slot. I'm not all too familiar with his game, but I know he's a bigger receiver. So I'm almost wondering, and in the the memories I have of him, it's him on the outside. So I'm wondering if this will give us an ability to kind of move him to the outside opposite Robbie Anderson, and then move DJ Moore to the slot more, which I think is kind of more his game. I don't know why he hasn't gotten more opportunities there in his career, but I feel like his shiftiness and his ability to make plays after the catch, I feel like that's a better spot for him than on the outside.
I agree. I could see them moving DJ in the slot. I think he works well there. That middle of the field is like his domain. That's where he dominates all the time. So yeah, and also I think I could totally see the Panthers drafting a receiver late as well.
Yeah, for sure.
The draft, I could see them doing that. But we'll see.
And it's absolutely not something they need to do every down, but it'll give them more flexibility. And while we're on the topic, I do like Amari Rodgers from Clemson in that flex spot. I don't know if we'll get the chance to draft him, but
well, speaking of draft, we can go ahead and transition into that.
All right.
Overall, I think I like what the Panthers did in free agency. They didn't do anything stupid, which is great. But they picked up some solid guys, so I'm all for it. Any final thoughts on free agency? What do you think about it?
I don't think so. I mean, we didn't mention Rashaan Melvin. I don't know what they intend on doing with him. You hope he's kind of there for depth or to be like a mentor. He's kind of an older player.
Yeah.
I saw he had, like one pretty good season, but it doesn't seem like he's a guy you want starting. So we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah. Probably just there for depth and probably to be like a veteran presence because we are still slim at cornerback.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed they didn't re-sign Rasul Douglas.
Yeah.
I thought he was an all right player. I don't know what the deal was there. They also let Abota go. I thought he was a good rotational piece, or Abota, however you want to say it. And there was a couple of guys that let go. I wish they could have brought back. Obviously, I wish Samo could have came back, but just for the money, they have other needs, and I totally understand. But for the most part, nothing too bad. But a couple of guys I wish they could have kept.
Yeah, and Douglas did sign somewhere else, right?
He probably did. I haven't looked at it yet.
I remember seeing his name linked with a couple other teams, but I never heard if he officially signed with them. But
yeah, he might have. I thought he was pretty decent, but I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he's a good player too, but like you said, they have other needs and stuff, so we'll see. I assume it'll be addressed in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. I think corner's another spot they need to look at. So we'll go ahead and talk about the draft. Now, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, quarterback position. What are we going to do? What's your go-to? What's your opinion?
All right. Well, if you asked me 8 days ago, I would say trade the farm for Deshaun Watson because you can't put a price on a 25-year-old top 5 quarterback. I would say trade however many picks, Christian McCaffrey if you had to, trade what you need to trade to go get that player because that's 10 years of relevancy, 10 years of potentially making the playoffs. I would say do that. Now, times have changed in the last 8 days. And apparently he's the biggest pervert in the world now. So we'll stay away from that as much as we can.
Yeah.
Now that that's not as much on the table, I I think the most realistic thing, I would say the best thing is we stay at 8 and Trey Lance or Justin Fields falls in your lap.
Mm-hmm.
I would think the more likely thing is we're going to try to trade up to probably 3. That way we don't have to take the risk of someone jumping ahead of us and taking a quarterback that we need.
Correct. I feel the exact same way, especially regarding the Deshaun Watson thing. I would read online a lot. People were like, it was very split. Trade for him, don't trade for him. People were like, oh, we have so many more people we need to get. Like, don't give up the farm for him. I'm like, that's true. But at the same time, without a franchise quarterback, and we saw that last year, you will go nowhere.
Well, here was my argument. If you trade 3 first-round picks, you're not guaranteed to get good players.
Exactly.
In 2014 we drafted Kelvin Benjamin. In 2015 we drafted was that the Vernon Butler year?
Vernon Butler, yeah.
Or was that 2016?
I think it was
2015 was Shaq Thompson, 2016 was Vernon Butler. So would you trade Kelvin Benjamin, Shaq Thompson, and Vernon Butler for Deshaun Watson? Absolutely. So
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I think people get caught up too much in the draft stuff as far as the picks. I think if that's a guy, like if someone said, I don't know. I just think it was people saying that was just weird. I think it's smart. Hey, give up 3 first-round picks, People are like, oh, what if they want McCaffrey? Listen, I love Christian McCaffrey. He's one of the best players we have on our team, probably the best player on our team. But when you're talking long-term, would you rather have a great long-term quarterback or, a couple more really good years out of your running back?
Easy decision.
Easy decision. Sorry. But it looks like we're probably – I know I saw a report earlier that we're still interested in trading. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think there's too much legal stuff going on now, regardless of what's true, what's not true, whatever people think. I think there's just too much going on right now. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I thought it was going to happen. I thought we were going to pull it off, but now I don't.
Yeah, same. I had a feeling I didn't think Tepper was going to let anyone outbid him.
No.
And I was thinking we were going to go all in. But
I was all in too.
Yeah. Now at this point, I just don't see it happening. So that's out the window. We can agree best case scenario staying at 8, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think it's more likely we trade up as well?
I think the Panthers 100% need to trade up.
Yeah.
Because
I agree. Because I think there's other teams who need quarterbacks that are going to try to jump us.
There are. This year has been such a needy spot for quarterbacks, and this is a deep quarterback class.
Yeah.
I think people keep saying, stay at 8, take the best player available. I'm like, listen, we're never going to get another high spot like this in the next couple of years. Because let's say we stay put at 8, we draft the next best player who's non-quarterback. We bring Teddy back next year. We're going to probably have a better record than we're on this year or next year.
Right.
And then the class isn't nearly as deep next year.
We need to trade up again. Right.
You have to do it. I don't care if you got to give up another first or second. Just do it. Get to 3 and get one of your guys. We know who's going number 1, Trevor Lawrence. I personally don't feel like the Jets are going to get a quarterback. I think a lot of people think that, but I think it's the Jets. I mean, what the hell are they going to do? We never know. I just feel like they might stick with Darnold and draft the left tackle or draft somebody else. And then I want Justin Fields. That's my opinion. I wouldn't mind Zach Wilson or Trey Lance either. I like them all. But I think without a shadow of a doubt, they need to trade up and pick their guy. I won't be mad about that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's actually interesting you brought up the Jets because I've almost gotten to the point, I think, that I've seen enough mock drafts that I'm just like, all right, Jets are taking a quarterback. But, it's not a sure thing.
Yeah.
And it could be – I mean, we might trade with them. Here's a curveball. What if Sam Darnold was available?
No. I've heard that mentioned a lot, but I don't know. I'm not big on just taking other people's players that haven't worked out, especially at the quarterback position. Like, I know he's been in a tough spot. He's played for the Jets, probably the worst organization in the league, one of the worst. So they haven't done him any favors, but sometimes they could be too far gone to come back. and
All
I'd
right.
rather just start fresh.
All right. So what if it ends up being Sam Darnold or Mac Jones?
I would take Mac Jones, I guess.
Sounds like
I
you're
don't
asking the
want
same for the same player, right?
I'm not big on Alabama quarterbacks, and people have always, oh, well, look how well he did. I'm like, I totally understand. He could end up being a great player. He could, but if you look at the amount of talent Alabama has around them and the type of, it's very easy for quarterbacks to put up gaudy
Nah,
stats when you have
it's
that.
unreal, dude. I mean, if you go look at some of his highlight tapes, it's like he's throwing to wide open players the whole time,
Yeah,
and there's no pressure the whole time.
exactly.
I will say there are things about him I do like. He does have a strong arm. He can spin the ball,
Mm-hmm.
but he does have good pocket mobility. But at the end of the day, it's like you can't get past the fact that he's playing behind that Alabama offensive line, throwing
Yep,
to Waddle and the Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith on the other side. He's
exactly.
got an Alabama defense. He's got Nick Saban. I mean, it's very tough to look at that and say, well, anybody couldn't succeed in that situation. So
Exactly. And I'll
yeah,
be honest with you, I'm not even like speaking of Alabama quarterbacks, I'm not even 100% sold on Tua in the NFL still.
no,
I'm
and
not.
I don't feel like the Dolphins are either.
I know. I honestly thought they would trade for Deshaun Watson because they would have the most
Yeah,
capital to give up. They give
yeah,
him up and then they give up a couple picks and hey, they're in the Super Bowl next year. I
yeah.
mean,
I
so
I agree. I mean, now I would think Deshaun's off the table for everybody.
yeah,
At least for the foreseeable future. But we'll see what happens, I guess.
we'll see. I do think, in your opinion, do you think they should trade up as well? Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say that's almost what you have to do in this situation because if you hang back, I mean, you could be left with nothing.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think we want to be stuck with Teddy at quarterback next year.
Right.
Sorry.
And it's exactly like you said. If you just don't go get your guy, you're going to be right back at probably 9-7, 10-6 is your ceiling. So
Exactly.
I mean, and that's going to be your ceiling for the foreseeable future until you find that type of quarterback who's going to make you that 12-4 team, that 13-3 team.
Exactly. There's just no point in sitting and waiting. And I don't think we're going to do that. And I just think the way we went about this whole offseason, the comments they made about quarterback and Teddy, I just think, I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't even want to come back next year. Like, clearly they don't want him.
Yeah. No,
So,
absolutely. I don't see why he would want to come back. And like you said, they made it clear they don't want him back. The fans definitely don't want him
definitely
back.
don't want him back.
They
I
are
mean,
sick of him.
exactly. So I think they're going to make a move. I think there's no doubt about that. They will have a different starting quarterback next year. Now, if they draft somebody and let them sit, that could happen too. But they're drafting somebody.
Yeah, I mean that's possible too. And there are kind of been little, I guess I wouldn't call them reports, but headlines that have said that they like Kellen Munn because of his week at the Senior Bowl. Now, I wouldn't think that's a first option, but I would think it could be like a Robert Griffin, Kirk Cousins situation where they draft a guy early and then maybe draft him late, depending on how late. I don't even know where he's projected, but I think it's like that 4th round range.
Yeah. No,
So
that's also possible. I have heard things like that. And then you've got like you said, you've got the Mac Jones. You've got the who's the quarterback for Florida? Kyle Trask.
Kyle
You've got
Trask, yeah.
people like him late. There's other guys they like late. I don't know. There's a bunch of routes they can
Are
go.
there any late guys that jump off the board to you?
Not really. I just think I would be extremely disappointed if they just didn't trade up and draft somebody.
Yeah, me too. And as far as those later guys, Kyle Trask, I do not like at all.
Yeah, a
I would
lot of
say,
people were on his hype train, and then
yeah.
I think it was was it the SEC champion, whatever game it was.
I think it was their bowl game, and he was like
Yeah,
horrible. Horrible.
It was bad, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, this is the guy. And it was like right around the same time, everybody was hyping him up. And it was like, this is your
Yeah.
guy? Are you serious?
Yeah. I thought the same thing. I was like, people are like, tune in, watch this guy. I was like, all right, they might take a look at him. Let me see what he's got going on. I mean, granted, it's just one game, but still. I think at the end of the day, they know what they need to do, and I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Since we kind of touched on this, what were your final thoughts on Teddy Bridgewater's 2020 performance as the Panthers quarterback?
As expected.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say too.
I mean,
and I think that's why when we signed him, it was so frustrating. It was like, what are we doing? Like,
it was like before all this happened, I wanted them to bring back Cam Newton just bring him back for another year. That's what I wanted to happen. I said, you have absolutely nothing to lose. Bring him back for a year. He either balls out or he sucks, and you move on.
Yeah.
I would have rather had Cam Newton trying as hard as playing bad last year on my team than have Teddy Bridgewater trying to play his best on our team.
Yeah.
And I think that the contract itself sucked. It should have been a 1-year prove-it deal at best. I think that's what it should have been. And I get the move. Like, I understand, like, they're rebuilding. No one expected us to be any good last year. That's fine. So if you're going to sign them, fine. Just do a 1-year deal. Prove us that you can be a franchise quarterback. We'll sign you long-term. And then build your team. And it just he is what he is. And it's just not good enough for the future.
Yeah. And I don't know the contract details or anything, but I believe there is some kind of way out for him after the second year. Hopefully he's not around for the second year, but yeah, just as you said, when we signed him, it was like, what are you planning on doing here? I mean, it was exactly as I expected. Just a game manager. I mean, to the definition, just a game manager throwing check downs. You know what I honestly believe?
What's that?
I think they were trying to tank for Trevor without making it obvious they were trying to tank for Trevor. That's what I think they did. That's why I think they signed him. So it looked like they went out and made like a decent quarterback signing, but they knew he wasn't going to be a guy who was going to win them a bunch of games.
I can kind of see what you're saying there. Because I think it would be pretty hard for Rule to be like, yeah, we're going to come in, we're going to win. If that year he came in with like PJ Walker and Will Grier, it's like, right, we know what we're doing.
Because if you tell somebody that's what they'll say. Well, why didn't they just throw Will Grier out there? Well, because then everyone knows you're tanking for Trevor.
Exactly.
So,
and I agree. I think they had to do something, and I wish it would have just been the Cam Newton thing, but it is what it is. We're hopefully moving on from that.
How many wins do you think Cam Newton gets last year?
I think what was our record this year?
6-10.
We were 6. That's right.
We were 6-10, and here's the one that kills me: we're 0-8 in games that we were within one possession of winning or tying. Yeah, so whenever we needed Teddy the most, he was 0 for 8.
Exactly. I think Cam Newton, even on his worst day, gets you a couple of those. I think we'd have been like 9-7.
Yeah, I think that's feasible easily.
Yeah, because our offense was very good last year. Defense came along; they played a lot better than they should have. I thought we were going to win like 2 games last year. Well, they played a lot better than I thought we would. So I think 9-7 would have been something like that.
Yeah, I think that's feasible for sure. And speaking of our defense, I was overall, I was pleasantly surprised with them last year. Now, when it came to third down and third and long, they were borderline unwatchable. They would make your eyes bleed. But overall, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, with what their overall – because when you look at them on paper, it's like, oh, my God, these guys are going to be horrible. But they didn't, they
weren't bad.
They were okay,
I think I viewed last year as like, okay, I already know my team's not going to be competitive.
Right.
Let me have fun in watching them like grow and get better. Right. Like, I just want to see who's going to play well. Like, if we lose, who cares? I don't care.
Yeah.
And just watching like the younger guys play well, the Jeremy Chins should have been defensive rookie of the year. Got screwed out of that. Then Derek Brown played well. Brian Burns had his coming out party last year. Then you had some smaller role guys that played well. I mean, it was fun to watch them play, and I think they're only going to get better. So,
Who really surprised me last year was Bravion Roy.
yeah, he was good.
When we drafted him, I was like, oh God, here's another Matt Rule guy that they're just going to bring in because he knows Matt Rule. But I was very pleased with the rookie year he had, especially being a sixth round pick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Rule definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to developing younger guys. And I think last year the draft had his Mark Prince all over it. I don't care if Marty Herney was the GM. I think he was doing all the picking because they got a lot of guys they can work with for the future. And then you had guys like Jermaine Carter stepping up at the end of the year. He played well. There was a bunch of guys that played well last year. So I was pleasantly surprised. And I think bottom line, they're going quarterback this year. And then let's talk about, past the quarterback. Let's say they draft quarterback. I don't know what they're going to give up. Let's say they give up a second round or first round. I don't know. Rounds like 3 to 7. Where do you think they should go position-wise?
Well, I mean, right off the bat, it makes sense to say offensive line and cornerback because those seem to be the two, biggest holes on the roster. But I mean, you never know what they're gonna do. And honestly, I wouldn't hate to see them draft all defensive players again. I think that's an awesome strategy. Just draft defense every year and sign offensive players.
I totally agree. I think it's going to be a lot of O-line, some corners. I mean, they need help everywhere. There's not one spot where why did we do that? I mean, they could just keep drafting the best guys in positions that they need or that are available. That's totally fine with me. I would like to see help at obviously O-line. So I feel like you can get O-linemen pretty late in the draft that are pretty solid. Yeah. I think you could find some corners in there as well. But yeah, I think they get some linemen, they get some corners, they get a QB. I don't see why we're not competing next year for wild card spot.
Yeah, and you know what I love about what the Panthers have been doing since Matt Rule took over is the Bucks, and you can already see it with the Saints. They're collapsing. They're on their downfall. You know what I mean? And just as soon as Brady's ready to retire, which we've been saying this for 12 years now, but as soon as Brady's ready to retire, and they need to start a rebuild, we're gonna already have our rebuild done, and we're gonna be ready to take over the division.
Exactly.
So that's what I love about what Matt Rule is doing, and I think that was their plan from the beginning. I still think Trevor Lawrence was part of their plan, and it did. Yeah. I honestly believe that's what they meant to do. But talking about the draft, I mean it's you want to say offensive line and corner, jump off the bat, and then wide receiver seems like we could probably use, at least one more. What's his name? Kirkwood from the Saints they brought back as well. Okay. So, which I believe last year he was injured, right? Other than the first couple games or something.
I remember him a pass. Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I remember him being signed, but I don't remember him playing. I don't know what the situation was there.
I think if I remember correctly, he played and then he caught a pass once and he got hurt. But anyway, classic. the point of me bringing that up is we'll see if he can find a role in the offense, being that we lost Curtis Samuel and whatnot.
Yeah,
can't find him.
No, I agree. So let's say, for instance, we do trade up at number 3. Okay. Who is your pick at quarterback? We already know Trevor Lawrence is off the board. Let's say we have our pick at who we want to – let's say the Jets don't even go quarterback. We have our pick at the quarterbacks. Who do you want and why?
Man, that's a tough one. It really depends. I'd probably say Zach Wilson.
Okay.
And it took me some time to decide I like him better, because for a
Mhm.
long time I was all about Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Even before the season started, I wanted him to be the Panthers quarterback after the draft this year.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know. I mean, it's really tough. I mean, there's a lot of things I like about a lot of these guys. Wilson, he's just got that it factor. He's got that strong arm. He can throw from all kinds of different positions and angles with his body. Kind of Mahomes-ish.
Yeah.
Um, he reminds me of Justin Herbert a lot, kind of, sorta,
Mhm.
with his arm strength. But and I know it sounds crazy, but he reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers, the way he can throw on the run and just make crazy throws.
Yeah.
But I do like Justin Fields a lot too. And looking at Trey Lance, I try not to get stuck on measurables and all that, but man, he's got everything you look for. I mean, he's fast, he's got a huge arm, and I think I saw he's only 19, is that right? Or 20 years old? I mean, that is absurd to think he could be that young and have that
Yeah.
much ability. That makes me think maybe we should go get him.
Exactly. I'm in the same boat. It's tough because for a while I was on the Zach Wilson train. I was like, "Yep, this is the guy." Everybody kept linking us to him. I was like, "This is who we're going to pick," and I'm
Yeah.
still down for that 100%. I like his playmaking ability. He's got the it factor. And then whenever I watch the national championship game, then I see Justin Fields. Like, this guy is amazing. Just some of the stuff that he was doing. Um,
Well,
it
what was
just
it?
reminds.
The Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Was it the Clemson game? Is that who they were playing, that playoff game where he just
Yeah,
went
yeah. I'm
off and
sorry,
threw like
not the.
5 touchdowns or something?
Yes, that
He,
game. Sorry if I
he,
got that wrong. No, he balled out, man. He looked like a complete monster, and it just reminded me of this very like Cam Newton esque, bigger guy, arm strength. He's athletic. Why would you not take a guy like that? And people are like, oh, don't take Ohio State quarterback. I mean, I get
yeah,
it that as
I hear that
well.
too. That's a horrible argument.
Yeah, I agree. And then you look at Trey Lance. I think like he's the most like could be Patrick Mahomes if he developed into something great, like a project quarterback. And I think a lot of people, I also don't like the argument of, oh, well, let's draft a guy and we'll let him sit behind Teddy for a year. Absolutely not. That is a terrible argument. What is he going to learn that he is? There's already stuff he's going to, any one of them are going to learn just being an NFL player. But those guys have talent. They're a lot better. Just throw them out there and let them learn.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'd much rather watch him go out there and do his thing and fail and learn than watch Teddy go out there and throw dump offs on 4th and 8 for us to lose the game.
exactly.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so we can lose the first 4 games of the year and then go on a roll at the end of the year with a new quarterback and say, oh, we should have did this in the beginning.
right.
But I think, bottom line, I still would pick Justin Fields, but if they pick Zach Wilson too, I'm digging it. I'm digging it 100%. And then if they happen to just stay put, maybe get Trey Lance. I'm also down with that. I like all these guys. I like different things about each of them. If I had to have my pick, I'd pick Justin Fields, but I'm happy with either one.
Yeah, any of those three, I would be perfectly fine with. Um, and I mean, I hate to be a Mac Jones hater, but there are things about him I like, but I do not want him on my team. I mean,
No, I understand. I agree. All right, let's say Panthers piss everybody off and don't trade up and don't get a quarterback, and they say we're going to roll with Teddy Bridgewater for another year. Let's say they stay at 8. There's no quarterbacks left. What are you thinking there?
no quarterbacks at 8.
Nope.
Well, that's kind of what I was talking to you about earlier. Is it if all goes to hell and we have no other options, is Sam Darnold an option? You know what I mean? Say the Jets just drafted a quarterback, and that's one of the reasons there's no quarterbacks left.
I still wouldn't go that route, but if they did, I wouldn't give up a lot for him. And I think they could get him for relatively cheap. But let's say they are just like, no, we're just going to stick it out for another year. I think they could go. I'm pretty sure the left tackle from Oregon will probably be gone already. He
Yeah.
seems like going to be a top player. I would go like Micah Parsons from Penn State, another good linebacker
Yeah.
to replace Luke Kuechly. I mean, just
You,
build up your defense even more.
yeah. I'm from the school of thought that linebacker is one of those positions you can never have too many good guys.
Correct.
So, I Patrick Surtain maybe
Yeah.
should be one of the top corners.
Yep.
But yeah, going offensive line, there's another guy from Northwestern, I forgot his name, who's supposed to be a pretty good offensive lineman coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and depending on who's there, I mean, what if they went wide receiver?
I think uh, I think that'd be a luxury pick, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, they would all. I mean, there you could get the Heisman Trophy winner if you wanted. It's going to be a great player. I mean, there's a lot of good guys. I mean, even if they don't get a quarterback, which I think they will,
Yeah,
there's
I
a
think
lot
they
of
will
good
too.
guys they can pick.
I mean, well, for one, they've already burnt the Teddy Bridgewater bridge.
Exactly.
you know, so I mean, I really don't think there's any way they could possibly go back to starting Teddy next year, just by the way this offseason's gone. I
I
mean,
agree.
they've made it obvious that if there's a quarterback out there, they're interested.
I agree 100%. Let me see here. I'm trying to pull up the draft order. I just want to take a quick peek here, see what's going on. So obviously Jacksonville going to go quarterback. You know, you've got the Jets. Not sure what they're going to do. What do you think? What do you think about a rival, the Falcons? I hear a lot of people keep saying they're going to go quarterback. I just don't buy that. I don't.
I don't know. I mean, I think they will, because I just don't see, because Matt Ryan, they drafted him in what,
Oh, 8,
2006 or
09.
something.
Yeah, like 2008, 2009. He's older. Yeah.
He's been there for a long time. So like we already touched on, this is a quarterback heavy draft. You don't know how often you're going to get to pick that early.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would think they would feel like they had to take a quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see it. I just feel like one of these teams that we expect to take a quarterback isn't going to do it. They've got something
Yeah.
else up their sleeve.
I could
But
totally buy that too, but at the same time, we it still goes back to no matter what happens, we need to trade up because there are teams behind us who want to trade up too.
exactly. And you think the last thing we want is the Falcons to take the guy we want ahead of us
Right.
and play him for the next 15 years.
Right.
So that even adds to the pressure of them needing to trade up.
Yeah. It's going to be real interesting too because, if we do get that quarterback and then they draft a quarterback, you're going to have like a Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf thing almost.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Where they're always going to be side by side compared next to each other. And then, then you got to pray to God your team picked the right one.
No, exactly. I'm sitting here just looking at a couple of mock drafts real quick. I see pretty much everybody's picking us to trade up for quarterback. And I think that's going to be the move. I know we beat that dead horse a lot here today. But yeah, I think we're going to go quarterback. In general, I like some of the moves we made in free agency. Also forgot to mention we signed the tight end, Dan Arnold from Arizona.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
I like him a lot. I've watched him a couple times. I was really disappointed in Ian Thomas. I thought for sure when we drafted him, I was like, this guy's raw, but low-key, he's going to be a very solid player.
Especially after his rookie year. It was like, dude, this guy is the future. I mean, he looked just like Antonio Gates out there.
Yeah.
I mean, just like him. And I don't know what happened.
They didn't use a lot of tight end. They didn't pass the tight end a ton last year.
No, they didn't. Which was surprising to me.
Could be part of it, but I don't know, man. I guess they saw something that we didn't see about him. But I think he's still on the team, right? Is he a free agent or?
Yeah, he's on the team.
Okay. So I mean, he's still got a chance, but I think that
for whatever reason, I refuse to give up on him. Like, I'll always be on the Ian Thomas bandwagon.
I thought for sure he was going to be a beast. Same thing with remember Brandon Williams, like super jack tight end that we
Yeah.
had a couple years ago. Like
Yeah.
I just thought he was going to be a beast. It never
What did they
happened.
call him? What was his nickname?
Muscles or something. I don't remember what it was.
I can't
It was
remember.
something like something hilarious. But yeah, I thought, hopefully Ian Thomas can pull it together this year. But I like the Arnold signing. I mean, you got kind of like an athletic receiving tight end. I think that's what we
Yeah.
need. Because I know
I think I
people
saw
like
he runs like a 4.6 or something, and he's like 6'5".
yeah. I mean, let's be real. We've got plenty of talent at receiver. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
But it's always good to have that middle of the field tight end. So I like that signing a lot. I think that was solid. But in general, I like the signings we made. I think a lot of these guys, obviously some health concerns, but, in free agency, what do you expect? But they've got biggest thing we got is Hassan Reddick. I think he's going to be a beast. I think we both agree draft. We're going to go quarterback. That's what we need to do. We know we need to keep filling some holes in our roster. And just in general, I mean, I like the direction we're going. I haven't been this excited for a team in quite a while. So what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited, of course. I'm not so sure that this year is going to be the big breakout year for us, if we're rolling with a rookie quarterback, and I think we still have other needs. But as far as what the team is building and what Coach Rule is building, yeah, I'm real excited about it. I think we have a good future ahead of us, a bright future ahead of us for sure.
I agree. I think – here, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say my brother-in-law just texted me and says that apparently Lamelo Ball just broke his wrist. Have you heard that?
Not good. I have not seen that yet. Hope that's not the case because that would suck because we are also big Hornets fans. Let me take a look at that. Real
Expected to miss the remainder of the season, it says. Whew.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that's devastating.
That is. That's typical Hornets right there. God. Fractured right wrist. We'll miss the rest of the season. Damn, that sucks. Man, he's been so good this year. Yeah. I thought, well, there goes our playoff chances right there.
Well, it's time to start looking at that, hoping for that top 5 pick again.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that was part of the plan. Touch on the Hornets real quick. I know this is a Panthers podcast, but at the same time, also Hornets fans. I think LaMelo's been great this year. I'm glad they finally got a pick right. It sucks, obviously, now seeing he got hurt. But other than that, he was Rookie of the Year. I don't know if he'll get it now since he's hurt, but he's been awesome. He'll come back next year. He'll be better than ever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen, and I'm sure you would probably agree, a player come in and playing for the Hornets to bring so much life into the team. I mean, it's like just painful to watch, and now it's like they're fun to watch every night. They're almost must-see TV at this point. So exactly. This is tough news.
Yeah, this hurts. He's a very exciting player, and I hate to see that. And the playoff chances are probably done after that. But I guess we'll come back next year and see what happens. But I think he's a very, very good player for the future. But I think we're going to go ahead and call it a close here for the first episode. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Give us a couple weeks. We're still filling things out, getting things rolling. We're going to get social media pages running, all that good stuff. We're going to have people calling in, joining the show. It's going to be great. But I'm glad that we finally got this thing started. I know we've been talking about it for a while. But any final thoughts on Panthers-related Hornets thing? Anything you want to say?
No, man. It was good talking to you. Look forward to the next one.
Yes, sir.
Go Panthers, keep pounding. Not much to add to it, It's just we've been saying it for 20 years, waiting for that championship someday.
That's right. I think we're going to try to do this every Sunday night. I think we're going to try to keep this thing rolling, so see what we can do. But I hope you guys enjoy the first episode, and we will talk to you guys soon. Peace.